Is there anything that would be like the one catalyst to make you guys actually put out an album?
Egalitarian approach to everything within the band.
But if you ever did go on tour, is there a certain band that you would like to go out with?
There's so many bands, bro. There's so many bands. I don't want to excite people but we...
What did you think when it kind of got lumped in and tagged with the whole new metal genre?
It was strange for us because we didn't really feel like we sounded like...
Do people still run up behind you and scream, "Wake up"?
I should have never mentioned it because it started getting people to do it more.
Yeah. Are there any like recorded System of a Down songs out there unreleased that you guys are saving?
We do have a small group of unreleased System of a Down songs.
In the song Toxicity, where you say conversion and software 7.0, is that a nod to your past career? Is that
kind of, yeah, good ear.
Hey, it's me, Jesse Lee, and welcome back to a very special episode of The Jesse Lee Show. You know, I mean, they're all special, right? They're all hits. I mean, at some point, I'm sure I'll start pumping out some garbage, crap filler content. But for now, they're all hits, baby. They're all golden nuggets. Speaking of golden nuggets, I don't really know how this is going to segue here, but I've got Serj Tankian on the show today. Serj is best known, of course, as being the frontman for the band System of a Down, for being an activist, and now for being an author, because he just dropped his very first memoir, Down with the System. We talk about the early days of System of a Down, how they felt about being labeled as a new metal band. It turns out there are some unreleased System of a Down songs, so we talk about if we'll ever get to hear those, and the one thing that it would take for the band to actually release a brand new album, which would be their first new album in over 20 years. Also, back in the day, people used to scream "wake up" at him on the street and freak him the F out because of the song Chop Suey, where he yells "wake up." So I asked him if, people are still harassing him doing that. What bands he would love to tour with if he was to go on tour again, because Serj has been very vocal in the past that he just does not enjoy touring, simply as that. It's really rough and hard on him as a singer, and it's just not something he foresees doing in the future, any long-term touring. But if he does, we'll talk about what bands that he'd love to go out with, his thoughts on some newer artists like Fallen in Reverse and Sleep Token, and how in the heck he ended up doing a song for the Godzilla movie, which turns out to be my 5-year-old's favorite Serj Tankian song. So it's kind of the track that I hear more. I hear more of that Godzilla cover from Blue Oyster Cult than I do most System of a Down songs these days, and I'm not mad about it. It's a great cover. Serj has a new solo EP called Foundations that's dropping soon, and the first single, AF Day, is actually out right now. And Serj tells me in this conversation that he actually wrote this song back in the early days of System of a Down. And the vocal, this is the best part, the vocal that's on that song was recorded 25 years ago. So those are the original vocals from way back when, which is pretty cool. If you could do me a massive, massive favor and follow or subscribe to this podcast on whatever platform you're consuming it on, honestly, it does more for me than you can possibly understand. And if you want to take an extra 5 seconds, if you're on Spotify and you want to hit that 5-star rating, you don't even have to say anything. You don't have to leave any questions or comments or anything. Just hit that button. Again, it does wonders for the show. If you want to, though, if you are on Spotify, there is an option to leave some feedback. I always love reading that. When people leave a question about the episode, they want more in-depth. If maybe I brushed over a subject in the episode and they want more of a detail on it, that's always fun. Then I can answer those questions later on in future episodes. Or if you just, I just dropped my phone. Or if you just want to leave me a comment, tell me how awesome I am or how much I suck. Either way, I'm down for both of those. Also, if you want to snap a screenshot on your mobile device or wherever you're listening to this on and share it to your social media, you can tag me at Jesse Lee on TikTok and Instagram, at Jesse Lee Show on X. You can also tag at Serj Tankian, and we'll all share it around. We'll all become best friends. It'll be a good time. All right, let's get into it. So good to talk to you. The beard's looking sharp. I like it. Very manicured.
Thank you. Yeah, it's just it's like you need tweezers to kind of not tweezers, the garden tools to keep it down.
Yeah. Well, dude, I know you've probably been doing a ton of these chats and the promotion for the new memoir. Are there any questions that you're just like kind of sick of at this point in the press market?
Why now? Why did you write a memoir now? That one I'm kind of sick of.
Right.
But mostly it's all good because I always try to, find something new to, kind of represent from the book,
Right, a new way to spin it,
even
sort
if
of.
a new way of saying it, a new or something new about that same story, that sometimes when you talk about the same thing multiple times, the good thing is that you start coming to certain understanding of essence of each of the stories, and then so you can relate better in a way.
Yeah, I'm sure you kind of like, maybe even since you've written it, after like talking about it so many times, you've probably like re-examined it more and been like, oh, maybe I think differently about this now than even when I wrote it months ago.
Correct. Yeah, you do.
I'm guessing after this promotional runs over, though, you're probably like not going to want to talk about yourself for quite a while, right?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing is like I'm trying not to talk about myself even during the promotional cycle because, it's part of it is looking backwards. Part of it is the band. Part of it is my family history, my people's history. So I try to focus on those things because definitely talking about yourself is fucking stupid.
Right.
Especially. Yeah.
Well, I mean, obviously you're known for your activism and you're known for being the singer of one of the greatest metal bands of all time, System of a Down. But to me, dude, I think you're always going to be part of the greatest Blue Oyster Cult cover of Godzilla that I've ever heard with Bear McCreary and Death Clock. Dude, my 5-year-old loves that song so much. I think we listen to that more than System of a Down songs at this point.
My 9-year-old loves it a lot too. I think we had it on repeat for a while to a point where I told Bear, this was a good idea, but I don't know. I got to kind of block it off Spotify.
Yeah. I know when they dropped the second one, I was hoping you guys were going to reprise that role, but no luck, unfortunately.
No, not that one. But that was a unique thing. I remember I was actually at a kid's park with my son. He had a birthday party to go to from one of his friends, and Bear just called me out of the blue, and he's like, "Hey, dude, what are you doing?" I'm at a kid's birthday party. Everyone's getting splashed. I'm trying to stay dry. What are you doing? And he's like, I just got this idea. I haven't, no one's. They haven't allowed the song to be used as a cover for any of the films. And I would love to do that with you. He goes, the song? I'm like, yeah, I know the song. Yeah. And so we started talking about it. I'm like, that sounds exciting. He goes, we'll just do the song, like demo it and then pitch it that way rather than telling them that we're going to go do this. Are you okay with that? I'm like, yeah. So we did and they loved it and it worked out.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, because it would seem like such an obvious choice to cover that song for the movie, but maybe that's because it's so obvious. That's why they never did it before that,
Yeah.
So that's pretty cool. And so the book starts off kind of talking about how System of a Down had this like unlikely success because your sound was just like so unique. Like on paper, it's not something that you would kind of expect to be successful in the grand scheme of mainstream rock. So like having this like unique sound, how did it feel, or what did you think when it kind of got lumped in and tagged with the whole new metal genre on top of it?
It was strange for us because we didn't really feel like we sounded like. I mean, there are elements I could see of new metal-ish type of stuff within our music, like a song like X, for example, riffs that are heavy that repeat in this unique pattern. Not that there's no elements of it, but System was like totally different, I think, than most bands, in LA at the time. So they lumped us in because that was what was kind of moving and shaking at the time in LA. That's what was on the radio, right? Like radio went from Seattle to LA, from grunge to new metal.
Yeah.
And it went at the perfect time for my band because, what do they say? 2/3 skill and hard work and 1/3 luck, It's kind of like that because there was nothing like us on radio while we were coming up. And then as we worked on our second record, radio literally switched to this type of music, more to LA type of bands like Korn and Deftones and Tool, and so it became a whole different thing, and and we were able to be a part of that, which is very lucky.
Yeah, I mean, I think if anyone released like alternative metal adjacent music in like that 5 to 10 year span, it seemed like it did kind of just get thrown in. Because like you said, like you guys didn't have a turntablist. You didn't like have straight up like rapping hip hop, you guys definitely have funky elements to it. And same thing with the grunge. Yeah. Any alternative band in the early 90s and then even in the mid 2000s, anybody that was like kind of pop punk and emo, they were lumped into that whole trend too. Totally. So yeah, I think, the media just kind of creates it more than the actual bands created at some point.
Of course. I mean, journalists have to have boxes that they can fit things into so they
Yeah.
can write the articles comfortably. It makes sense logically, but yeah, I think we've always been an anomaly, not just for our scene, but
Yeah.
for bands, rock bands altogether.
I think that's kind of like a human thing too, to want to like compartmentalize, like,
Yeah,
put things in boxes, so to speak, like you said. Like, I think that
yeah,
probably
yeah, yeah.
comes with it as well. I know you're a big fan of like kind of out of the box, like avant-garde style music. Have you listened to the band Sleep Token?
Yeah, I have. I can't remember much about it, but it's very familiar, and I know I've listened to it. Someone turned me on to it, um, but I gotta refresh. I haven't
Right.
listened in a while. Yeah,
Yeah, they're a band that kind of reminds me of like when you guys were on your rise, because they are so not in they don't fit in the genre of lines, as far as like
yeah.
alternative metal goes, but they're embraced by metalheads, but they're also, embraced on pop radios to some respect, because of like
Have you
they
heard
blur the.
Polyphia? I've been listening to Polyphia, Falling in Reverse, like those type of bands that are really interesting.
Mhm.
Um, a friend of mine has been turning me on to a lot of interesting type of bands such as those, and I'm really grateful. He visits once a week, and
Nice.
yeah, yeah, it's been really cool. But I just started listening to Damon Albarn's solo material.
Oh,
He did the
really? Okay.
Gorillas and Blur and stuff, and I like the Gorillas, of course, and some of the older Blur. But for some reason, I'm gravitating more toward his solo. He's a great, great songwriter. Just
Yeah.
recently, just listening to that on my mind.
Very cool. Yeah, I guess
Mm.
we won't be seeing Blur at any more Coachellas going forward after that last performance, unfortunately.
What
But
happened?
so Blur was headlining one of the Coachella days, and I
Okay.
guess like the audience probably wasn't super familiar with Blur beyond song
Oh,
two,
okay.
so they
I
were
see.
kind of like very reserved while watching them. Like Damon was
Mm.
trying to get them all hyped up, and they were just kind of like,
Mm.
so he was basically like, fuck this. Like, this is the last time you're going to see Blur at Coachella. I was like, I
Yeah.
hope you better sing along now because it's your last chance.
Right.
So
Right.
he
Yeah.
might cool off on next year's lineup. Who knows? We'll see what happens.
Yeah, Coachella had a lot of problems this year. They had some technical problems as well, from what I remember.
Yeah, I mean, I think like there's just so many music festivals now, and the
Mm.
competition's so high. Because like back,
Yeah,
I mean, as well as anyone, 10, 20 years ago, there weren't that many festivals, like many like main ones, but now it's like, especially for rock and metal, even it seems like there's 10 to 15 huge ones every summer.
yeah,
So
yeah. And we just played Sick New World a couple of weeks ago,
yeah,
3 weeks ago, I think. Yeah, so that we kind of started with Live Nation with that last year. So this is our second year, and it was great. Like it's going really well, actually.
that's so, yeah, man, I'm so bummed I missed out on that one. And then yeah, Sleep Token was like opposite of you guys on the headline time too as well. So that's pretty
Oh,
cool.
I see. Yeah, yeah, cool.
Yeah.
Right on.
One thing that surprised me about the book was that I learned that you had a software company, like a pretty
Mhm.
profitable software company, before you started System of a Down. And then
Yeah.
you, of course, had to put that to rest so you can focus on the music entirely. But it made me
Mhm.
wonder, like in the song Toxicity, where you say conversion in software 7.0, is that a nod to your past career? Or is that just a coincidence?
Kind of, yeah. Good eye, ear, whatever you want to call it.
I'm a
Yeah, I
professional,
mean,
Serj.
no, it's pretty interesting. So after university, I worked with my uncle in the jewelry industry. He was a bigwig in the jewelry industry. So I helped run his company, and while I was there, we helped kind of create a customized software system for his industry. Which was a very unique kind of thing. Instead of selling by pieces, we would sell by weight with digital scale integration, recalculation of inventory pricing based on commodity changes like gold
Oh,
prices
okay.
and stuff, daily updates. And so it was a very unique thing. And when I decided not to do that anymore and focus on music and soon ran out of money, I thought to myself, what can I do on my own without working for someone so I can be my own boss? So I can play more music.
Hmm.
And I thought of that software. And so I started, first of all, reselling that software to other people in the industry that I knew. And then I created my own really cool modular kind of vertical industry jewelry, multi-layered accounting system along with a POS system, a metal tracking system for manufacturers, like just really interesting shit. I mean, I knew the industry well, so I was able to help design it, hired a programmer. I did all the installs and customer support and all of that. And I started running that as a way of like making money to help my family and not have to have a boss, right?
Mm-hmm.
But soon enough, I got so busy and I started getting orders and started doing installs all over the US. And next thing you know, I'm making money, but I'm not, I don't have time for the music.
Right.
So I'm like back to square one. But this time you can't just walk away because it's your own company. So I had to find someone to sell it to. But I literally almost gave it away because I didn't want to be involved in the 2 years after the sale either to help run the company and stuff because I just wanted out. I wanted to do music, So I kind of just, walked away with a very small check, just enough to take me to the next, check from, our band for our first signing or whatever we did, like just enough to get by kind of thing. And it worked out. It served its purpose. It was the perfect bridge to music. But I wish I did have this software company around because I love software. And because of that, I've actually invested in a company in Armenia doing virtual instruments, which is also software, virtual musical instruments. Cool. They're called AAA Audio. They also do remote ensemble and solo recording for composers around the world for films, TV, TV shows, games, and stuff like that. So I kind of got back in because I loved it so much.
Yeah, it's probably not a bad business to be in. I love that you were on the customer service end of it too, like on all sides of it. Because I imagine somewhere out there was somebody that worked with you, bought your software, and then they flipped on MTV one day and like, get the fuck out of here! Is that the same guy?
Yeah, totally. That has happened, especially awesome. With people that I worked in downtown LA and jewelry company, and that people that I became friends with years later. They would see me and they're like, "You left us." You left the industry, They're like, thank God you left us. Look at you.
It worked out for sure.
Yeah, it worked out. Yeah.
Speaking of that album, do people still run up behind you and scream, "Wake up" behind your ear?
Not as much. I mean, I should have never mentioned it because it started getting people to do it more. And which is even worse. It's like,
the reverse effect.
Exactly. The going joke became the fucking thing, but no, I mean, people actually don't do that. People are generally really diplomatic and kind and, they're like, "Hey, aren't you that guy?" I'm like, "Oh yeah." And then they're like, "Can I have a picture?" Or I just love when people come up to me and go, "I really like your music. It did this for me," or whatever. And it leaves an impression. And I'm so grateful for that. Like those are the moments where it's like human to human interaction based on the art itself,
absolutely. Yeah. I mean, that's so great that like after all this time, like there are still people that like, they have so much of a deep connection to System of a Down and to your lyrics that they see you and they feel compelled, like, I got to talk to this guy. I got to tell him how much his music, how much his art means to me. Like, that's got to be a great feeling to know that you've had such an impact on some people's lives like that.
Absolutely. And I love hearing those stories. Those are incredible, how it changed something to the positive for them, going through school or going through family issues and whatnot. And like, that's when you feel that you're not just an entertainer, that you're doing something that is making a positive difference on people's lives. And it's the best fucking feeling in the world.
Yeah. Is that also why, like, do you think that kind of relates to your activism as well? Because you're making a difference in people's lives when you do that?
It relates to my activism in the way that it's always been my intention to use music, not in a bad way, but in a way to make positive change, because I was an activist before becoming an artist. So for me, it was a natural compound, right? Mm-hmm. It's always been in me. I still like art for the sake of art. I still like, crazy stream of consciousness poetry and funny shit and terracotta pie and, like the blah, 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 craziness, right? But I also really love being an artist who can tell the truth, especially when it's really difficult to do so. And we talk about that in the book. And it makes a difference. I've started to realize that at an early age, you have to make a distinction, whether you want to be an entertainer or if you want to be an artist. As an entertainer, you don't want to lose any fans because your job is to entertain. When they say shut up and sing, that's the entertainer. But if you want to be an artist, then you have to always, an artist is always looking for the truth. An artist is always looking for the muse to come through collective consciousness and be able to present that skillfully, hopefully, if you're good at it. And if you do that, then it's a different world than being just an entertainer. An artist can also entertain, obviously, but it's why I never understood when people, would tell us as if we're just simple performers to shut up and play or shut up and sing or whatever. I mean, you don't tell a plumber to just shut up and plumb, do you? If they talk politics or whatever, whoever, right? Bus driver, teacher, that I find very interesting psychologically.
Do you feel like the message in the music ever gets kind of lost on the masses because they're just hearing the catchy chorus and they're not really reading deeper into the actual meaning?
Sometimes. I mean, it's okay though, because I think when you create a work of art, whatever that is, everyone interprets it based on their own collective experiences and stimuli. Like you can't expect, I have zero expectations when I create a song or when I do, when I'm doing a score, I expect that the director's going to dig it, but that's about it. Right. Like you don't create or when I paint, I have musically composed paintings that I do, exhibitions and stuff. I don't paint thinking someone's going to like this. I don't fucking know what people are going to like in a painting, nor a song, to be honest, You just want to love it yourself and be like excited about it because it does something to you, right?
Yeah.
It excites you and you want to make it high quality, whether it's the recording techniques and mics or whatever, it's that combination that you release.
Yeah, I was talking to Sonny from POD a while back, and he mentioned we were kind of talking about that a little bit. He was saying we are kind of like in a fast food culture of art and music, especially where everything is kind of so quickly turned over and so quickly spit out. Where like you said, like it's kind of more important to focus on the quality, something long lasting, and something that's more like a well-cooked steak on a grill rather than, a burger and some fries that you're smashing down. Because like the same way you feel taking in that art is the same way sometimes you feel eating those French fries in that burger. Like, it doesn't feel great,
Totally. Totally. I mean, that's one of the reasons I wanted to do musically composed paintings, because I agree that music's become a commodity, especially with when the whole Napster thing happened and the downloads and the whole industry turned to performance. Basically, when I say performance, I don't mean on stage. I mean streaming. That's performance. Nobody's buying your catalog and downloading anything. Nobody's purchasing. I mean, there's vinyl sales, which is great still, of course, but overall, it's become performance royalties. And so when I created musically composed paintings, people would come up to me at the exhibition and go, I love that piece of music for that painting. Where can I find it? And I love saying, just here. Like you can't get it anywhere. Like you have to either buy the piece and take it home so you can enjoy it with the music, or if it has a reproduction like a litho or poster, then, but I made it like that on purpose, at least for now, because I wanted to make music exclusive because it's become so non-exclusive,
Yeah, I mean, once everything's free and widely available, it almost once it becomes free, it almost becomes worthless at some point, because like it's, I miss those days of like buying an album and listening to 12 tracks and you let it run for a few more minutes because you didn't get up and change it yet, and all of a sudden it's like, wait a minute, there's another song here. Like, am I supposed to be hearing this? This is a secret track. Those kind of things. Like a lot of generations are not going to really get to experience that kind of cool stuff when it comes to physical media anymore. Which of course there's advantages and disadvantages, but
I also miss the randomness of picking music based on a great artwork cover, like a record cover. You could still do that, right, on like these services, because they put up the album cover, but it's so tiny that it's not that same thing, right? Like, so it would be interesting if someone actually plays with that idea, whether it's one of the streamers or whatever. Yeah,
that's a good point too, because you spent all this time and money and effort into creating the cover art that gets condensed down to a 500 by 500 pixel JPEG. It's compressed. It's like, it's not the same as like you said, like the physical big. I mean, course, vinyl is an option if, as long as like Billie Eilish and Taylor Swift aren't taking up the plants that week, then you can put some vinyl out. Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
I know in the book you kind of go over like some of the creative differences that have like kind of stalled System of a Down from releasing any new albums over the last, I think it's been about 20 years now since you guys released your last full proper album. What do you think? Is there anything that would be like the one catalyst to make you guys actually put out an album? Is there one thing that would need changed or fixed, or is there any element that you think would be like the definitive, like this would have to happen before we actually did an album?
Egalitarian approach to everything within the band.
Okay.
That's it.
And so, is that? I'm sorry. I guess I don't know what that word means. I'm so sorry.
Kind of more equality in terms of in terms of sourcing of the music, in terms of splitting everything, including publishing, in terms of ideas, in terms of sharing the vision.
Gotcha.
That kind of stuff. To me, I was trying. I mean, it's in the book. We call it a manifesto jokingly because I wrote points down that years ago when I had some new songs that I thought would be amazing with System, and so I played it for the guys, and I said, guys, I've got an idea of a vision, a different way forward that I think would be very beneficial for the band. And I presented it. We call it a manifesto in the book, almost half jokingly. But bringing a manifesto to rock musicians it just doesn't work. It doesn't work. But I was trying to instill the same type of egalitarian principles as I love as an activist within whatever I do. And for at that time it didn't work, but maybe it will one day. We'll see.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks for elaborating on that, because I was about to be like nod my head and go along with it. I'm like, no, that's not how you learn things.
No,
you don't learn things by being silent.
Of course.
So now I know a new word, which it's one of those things I've heard that word a million times, but again, never invested into it. Now I know.
Egalitarian and equilibrium are very close to each other. I like using both.
Very cool.
An egalitarian principled setup creates equilibrium, right?
There you go.
Now I'm being Terrence Howard on Joe Rogan talking science. No.
Oh yeah, we're gonna get in the weeds now.
I don't know if you guys saw that. That's pretty tricky.
Yeah, I saw the clip of it. I didn't hear the episode or not, because he has like some like wild theories or something, right? I'm not even sure what his whole deal is.
Very interesting. Yeah. I'm always amused and excited to hear something I've never heard before. And if it's true, that's even better.
Yeah, I don't mind listening to people talk about passionately about things I disagree with, because again, it's how you kind of learn things, or even like when somebody talks about a theory or something that's almost like conspiratorial and it's something that sounds like off the wall. It's like, it might be something I don't believe in, but I like to hear what they say. I like to hear how did they come to this conclusion? Where did they get to? How did they get to this point? You might learn some interesting things along the way, even if you don't agree with the end results, end product.
I agree.
I know you've said in the book and probably many, many times in different interviews that you're not really into the idea of doing a long form touring, full bore touring. But if you ever did go on tour, is there a certain band that you would like to go out with?
We've toured with so many bands over the last, 25, 30 years. There's many bands I'd love to play with. I don't think we'd do a tour. Maybe we'd just do a show here and a show there, like we're doing this year. Like this year, we did Sickening World in end of April, and then we're doing this festival at Golden Gate Park in August. 2 shows, 2 events. I love it. I love it. It's fun because I love performing. But the rigmarole and the repetitiveness of touring is not great for creativity purposes, and also exhausting physically in terms of travel. So I don't know. There's so many bands, bro. There's so many bands. I mean, I don't want to excite people or piss off my friends, but we'd love to do a Rage Against the Machine System of a Down thing one day. Obviously, we've done that before, way long ago. Tool. Like there's so many incredible bands,
Yeah.
and young bands too, like some of the ones we spoke about earlier. But yeah, I think my focus isn't so much on live performance, but it's been on creation, because that's what turns me on. Waking up in the morning, I get excited about creating something new, and I'm either putting out new music, like we've got an EP coming out in September through Gibson Records called Foundations, and we put out the first single called AF Day, which stands for Another Fucking Day. Very angst-driven punk metal kind of song. From that I had written and recorded the demo for probably 25 years ago, early System days. And I don't even know if I've ever brought it to System. I can't even remember.
Oh, wow.
But I had it, I was reviewing a bunch of old demos, and I thought, there was like 5 songs that really were from different time periods. Just like the book. The book was chronological from way back to now. And I thought, since I'm releasing a book that's like looking retroactively and far back, why don't I do an EP like that too? So this song is like the oldest one. And there's another song from way back also called Justice Will Shine On. We almost worked that with System in 2014 for the 100th anniversary of the Armenian genocide. We ended up not finishing that. So I just took it back and kind of finished it the way I intended to, and that's in the EP. There's a few songs from my solo record Elect the Dead days that just didn't make the record because they didn't fit, everything else, but they're amazing songs that we finished recently. So that kind of stuff is in Foundations. I'm doing 2 films and a TV series. As far as scoring, I've got a lot of scoring work, mostly done with 2 out of 3, finishing the 3rd early summer this year. I've got a gallery/cafe opening in Eagle Rock, California on Colorado. We're doing the build out now, but we're going to open that up. So we'll have events there. We'll have our flagship coffee shop, Kavat Coffee, and a gallery for my artwork and other artists, office space, as well as beautiful outside seating. Just a bunch of different projects, man.
So you got a lot of downtime right now, is what you're saying.
I got a lot of downtime. Yeah.
Is there a release date for Foundations yet? Or are you guys still working that?
There's a release date in September. I just don't remember what it was.
Okay.
Yeah, it's early
September. I remember seeing when it was first announced, it was like a fall release. So that's cool.
Okay. Yeah.
You said the AF Day was written 25 years ago. And then the other track was written kind of with System of a Down in mind as well. And
it was written it was written also 25 years ago, but then about 9 years ago, whatever it was, I brought it to System, and for the 100th anniversary of the genocide, we worked on it for a little bit, but then we decided we're not going to release anything right now, so we didn't do anything with it, and I decided, I'm going to put it out. But I should say, the vocals on AF Day are the original vocals from 25 years ago, because the tone in my voice was so different, right? And I can't sound like that if I wanted to, I could try, but it's not going to sound the same. So I left it. And the vocals are really kind of fucked up, actually, because they're like reverbed and compressed and almost distorted. Like they don't sound great, but it was important for me to keep the integrity, almost like an archival material, and be like, this is from then. I just kind of spoofed up the drums and the guitars and just made it sound a little more modern, because it was a drum machine, basically. Originally, So, but I think it's a great song.
That's really cool. Yeah, it's the true foundation there. If it's got the original OG vocals on it.
That's what I mean. Yeah, that's why I called it that. Yeah.
Are there any recorded System of a Down songs out there in the ether, unreleased, that you guys are saving for an anniversary release one day or something?
We do have a small group of unreleased System of a Down songs, and we haven't agreed. I mean, I would have liked to release them, maybe with the greatest hits or something like that. But until everyone agrees, it's not going to happen. But I don't necessarily think we should release everything that's unreleased. But it's not that much anyway. But in terms of archival. At one point, why not everything, but there are some really good gems in there, I gotta say. At least 2-3 gems.
Oh, what a tease, man. Something to look forward to. Well, Serj, I know you got to run and I got a short window here. I really appreciate you sitting and talking with me about your new memoir of sorts. Hopefully, we get a movie out of it one day. I would love to see a full blown down the system Serj
Oh
Tankian
wow,
movie.
yeah. So
That'd be
so
great.
funny enough, I met with someone yesterday, and they were interested in film rights, and I haven't been ready to consider that. I just wanted to kind of put out the book, and I don't know. It's something to think about, but there is interest in that already, which is interesting.
Yeah, we gotta find somebody good to play you. Gotta find somebody great to play Fred Durst too. That's gonna be some hard roles to cast, man.
That's right. That's right.
Everyone listening, please go check out the new memoir, Down with the System, a memoir of sorts, as the tagline has been. I love that. The new EP, Foundation, slated for a late September release, but the AF Day track is out now, so you can go check that out. You can also find Serj Tankian on Instagram. Are you on any other socials? That's the only one I really noticed you on.
Yeah, Facebook and Twitter and stuff. Well, it's called X now. Yeah.
Cool. Go find him on there. And as for me, you can find me at Jesse Lee on TikTok and Instagram, at Jesse Lee Show on X. And Serj, did you have any last minute plugs before we get out of here?
No, bro. I just want to say thank you. Good talking to you. I appreciate it.
Dude, it was great talking to you. And everyone listening and watching, please, above all else, make sure to share this episode with somebody that doesn't suck. All right? Take it easy now, and bye-bye.